All right, looks like we should be live. Let's do live chat. Boom. Let's make sure the stream is live. Stream check. Oh, what a day, man. Mondays are always a pain. All right, looks like we are live. Fantastic. So, I got a few hours to myself today, probably about 2 hours to hopefully make a dent on this. What I want to tackle is yesterday, I spent some time kind of going through the code, seeing what I wanted to make changes to, kind of ascertaining the scope of the changes I want to make. And now I would like to knock these two things out. I want to knock these out. So first we're going to refactor the trade goods to be listed in locations as opposed to wherever they're listed now, which is I forget where. I think it's a trade goods class. Yeah. So the trade goods themselves, I don't know why this needs to be a class. So I might refactor it to not be a class and just move this to be an auto load first of all. That's one change I might do. So let's get rid of the class name. We don't need that. Save. And then what I'm going to do is I'm going to move trade goods over here into my auto loads. So now we have the auto load set over here. So you can see trade goods. So now I need to go to my project settings. And in my auto load section, I need to add the trade goods. I'll just figure out this. I'll click this, go to my auto loads, select trade goods, and then I will add it, and bam, that adds it. So the order of these are important. For now, trade goods is fine at the bottom, so I'm okay with that. So now let's save that, and that's going to break everything, but let's break some more stuff. So this here, this location, goods, and prices should be moved to a different place. Should be moved to my locations. Auto load. And trade goods. So I basically have a dictionary, which works fine because all of it has a key and a value. So key value pairs, dictionary is perfect for that. So we're going to use that data type. So trade goods is going to be a dictionary. So we did that for Earth. So we told the location Earth has trade goods, and these are the trade goods that it offers as well as the modifiers of the base price. So if platinum is worth, 1,000, we scale that by 1.1, it's now worth 1,100 here, right? So that allows us to create like an economy. So food supplies are cheaper here, whereas somewhere else they might be more expensive and you could probably sell them for a profit, which is the whole purpose of why I did that. So let's go back to trade goods. So we got Earth taken care of. Let's get rid of that. Earth's moon apparently is really rich in helium-3. I don't know why, I just made that up. Sounds awesome. So Earth's moon. So let's add a trade goods. How did I do it? I did it camel case. Trade goods. And then we'll set it to equal this. And then we'll also make sure we comment that, or not comment, but comma. That way it conforms to the structure. We'll save that. Go back to trade goods. We'll remove Earth's moon. And then so JG1214B, or GJ, has a whole bunch of stuff. Not as much as Earth, but it does have a few things. So we're going to copy that. And these are the locations. So perfect. So we are going to add a trade goods key here. I'm going to paste that in. I'll add a comma, and then I'm going to indent this so it looks correct. There we go. Awesome. And then we can go here. We can get rid of GJ1214B, which just rolls off the tongue to say, by the way. And then we have Celestia, which has some more stuff. I might as well just copy this comma too. Copy, locations, trade goods, paste, and then we will highlight and indent. Bam. Look at that. Cool. So we have migrated the location, goods, and prices out of this trade goods auto load now. It's no longer a class. It's an auto load, which I think basically makes it a class anyway. at least you can like reference it. I don't know. I don't know. Maybe I'm curious. Now I'm curious. I want to. Let's see. I want to search for auto load. I think it makes it a class, but I'm not sure. Auto loads versus regular nodes. Godot offers a feature to automatically load nodes at the root of your project, allowing you to access them globally. That can fulfill the role of a singleton. These auto-loaded nodes are not freed when you change the scene from the code. Okay, so it makes it a singleton. That's basically how I'm using them. In my mind, they're just globally scoped things that are accessible throughout the project. And what I've been using them for so far is basically just defining JSON-like dictionaries that have a lot of the core info of what I need. So, yeah, which might, I don't know if that's a good approach or not, but it's one I've found that works for me so far. So I'm doing it. It seems to work all right. So, yeah, we don't even, so I had some methods here before, but they're not even used anymore. So we can get rid of these. And then this isn't even used here anymore. So we can get rid of this. I might move it to locations. Save this. And then what we'll do is we'll make this templates. And then we will do, let's see. You know what? Let's do this. Because this could get pretty big and bloated. And the idea of this template is to be able to copy and paste it to quickly add things and just change what you need. So yeah. Hi there, what's up? Welcome. So I'm gonna take these templates, and I'm just going to make individual like chunks of templates. So I'm gonna put this one as base location template that I can copy and paste as needed. And then I will do trade goods template. And then so what I'll do here is it's not that. There we go. So that's how you do like a multi-line comment in Godot 3 is like 3 quotations, which is fine. I wish it looked, I don't know, I wish it kind of looked like this, but whatevs. It makes it a different color. That's all. So now what I'm going to do is I'm going to paste this in here. And, oh, I got double template. So let's get rid of this and get rid of this. So what I want to do is, there's a lot of stuff here. So trade goods, copy this. And I want this to actually be able to be like copied and pasted. So how do we do that? Well, we're going to specify the key and then the opening bracket. And then we're going to specify the closing bracket, and a comma. So if I have to add a trades goods section to this like location, I can just copy and paste, and then I can just remove the trade goods that I don't need. And I can just update this template whenever I add more trade goods, less places to update things, which works pretty well for me, I think. So there you go. That's the first step. So that part's done. So now that we've made that change, let's run the game and see what breaks, and then we can fix it from there. So, boom, there we go. Trade. So we're preloading. Gross. So we don't need that. So we actually don't need trade goods at all because we can reference. Actually, no, we do need trade goods. So we have the location name. So what we can do is we can say trade goods is a dictionary. And since it's not a class anymore, this is going to equal, we need to do locations, which is our auto load, a dot list. And then we can put the location name because we have that being passed in. So we can say location name, and then we can do dot trade goods. So what I might do is I don't like just declaring this, because if for some reason I put in a location name that does not have a trade goods key in its dictionary, the game's going to crash. So rather than making this an onReady variable, which would be handled once ready is finished, I'm just going to make it a 0 value dictionary, which means it's just empty. And then from here, in my ready function, I'm going to get the trade goods that are on offer from this location. Then I will say trade goods equals, and then I can do this, not double equals, locations list, location name, trade goods. So if we look at our locations, we have our list variable, which is our master dictionary of all of our locations. And then we're passing in the location name. So it's going to give us all this object, and then we can just reference the trade goods key of that, and that will return all of this stuff here that we can use. So that should be fine. Now that we have that set, trade window. Now that we have that set, we're using it in a different way. So I'm going to Control F this to search, and I don't even need location items anymore because we already have that. So boom, and then what I'll just do is I'll just go through trade goods, since we're using that now. Save. And then where else are we using trade goods? Oh, actually, I need to find loc items is what it was called, wasn't it? So let's see where we're using loc items. So we have a few places. So this might not be even used anymore. I'm going to comment that out for now. So we're iterating through all of our... So I'm going to change this to be trade goods. I'm going to change this to be trade goods. So trade goods no longer has this list of goods base price thing anymore. So this is not going to work anymore. But so what we can do here for key in trade goods, so we're iterating through everything in the dictionary. So if we take a look at our You know what? Let's back up. I feel like I'm making a mess of this already. So let's keep that how it was. So we have location items, which is trade goods, location, goods, and prices. Which, from my understanding, was a method that was commented out. So it wasn't even used. How was it functioning before? Okay. So we don't need that. Yeah, I think I was on the right path. First, I want to see where we are using trade goods first. Change that implementation. And then we can go through price equals trade goods, list of goods. Base price. Oh, okay, I see. So trade goods, list of goods, base price, and then we're basically multiplying it by the modifier that we have. So that should be fine. However, this should be trade goods. And then what I'm going to do is I'm going to rename this to just be list to be more consistent with my other auto loads, because trade goods, list of goods is kind of a redundant variable name. So I'll make that change. In trade window, we can just change this to trade goods.list. And then, so we have kind of a semi-naming conflict. I have trade goods, which is the auto load, and then I also have trade goods like camel case, which is my local trade goods. So I think what I might do is I might get rid of the concept of trade goods here and keep that location items. I like that because that differentiates it from the trade goods auto load. So I'll do location items. So I will do the loc items equals locations list location name trade goods, because that's the trade goods that are on offer for that location. And then we already have that set here. So let's get rid of that. Boom. So then for key and location items, is this key present in inventory data? No, initialize it at 0. So that's perfectly fine, because that's how we are determining if we have that item already. So we can determine, like, in the table to display, like, you know, how much we have. So we're doing that. That's fine. So player data, all that's good. All that's good. This is all fine. I don't see anything wrong here. Trade goods, list, location items key. Perfect. That makes sense to me. And then I want to see how else we were using trade goods. So where's our next one? So we got trade goods there. That's fine. Okay. So this one should be easier. This one should be... We can just remove this down to location items. So location items equals item, and then that gives us the like modifier. And so this is what we're comparing here to see if to just put some text to determine, like, hey, something that's easy to read that says, hey, is it selling for very low, very high? Like, what's it selling for, right? So this is how we're doing that. So I think that should work. Save that. What's next? So calculate the price. So we're doing trade goods list selected item base price multiplied by the modifier that we were storing in our location items. So that should work. That should be fine. What's next? And I should probably make this like a function, because I have multiple code that does the same thing. So in the spirit of like keeping your code dry or don't repeat yourself, typically would abstract things out into a function that you can call for repeated logic. Otherwise, if you have to make changes, you're doing what I'm doing now, which is like correcting the same logic in 4 different places, which is not ideal. So single item, calculate monetary amount. This is all similar code. Trade goods, list, item, base price, location, item. So we're just stepifying that. So again, this is calculating just the price of it. We can definitely want to make this a function, I think. So load, trade goods, list, image path. So we can load what image for it. And then we need to load the description. You can also change that to be list. That should be fine. That's commented out. This can be updated as well. I could just control F trade goods.list of goods and just change it to trade goods.list. But I'm going through and I just want to see all the implementations of what I have currently to see if I'm not going to break anything else. All that looks fine. Yeah. So let's see if this runs now. Load F. Okay. It hasn't crashed, which is good. So let's see if I can buy something. So let's say I'm going to buy some food supplies, right? I'm going to buy them all, finalize. If I go back in, you can see here that it shows that I've got 35 tons of food supplies. So that's cool. I think I successfully refactored that and didn't break it. I do still want to make that function for calculating the price. I did that in at least 3 different spots in that same code, and it was the same like function basically. So I want to definitely minimize the times I'm doing that. So let's see if I can land at this place here. Woo! Come on, land. Bam. So this one does have some trade goods, and I can sell my food supplies for high, and bam, I get some money. Finalize! Look at that. We are real merchants. Cool. So that's working. So let's do... I want to find these functions where I was calculating the price a bunch. Here we go. No, I don't want to do that. I just want to copy this. Copy. So what I can do is I can do just a quick helper function somewhere that is... I mean, either way, you're still going to be passing in... You're still passing in the item. And it has to have, so location items is already in scope. Trade goods is global scope. So I don't have to pass those in. So I could just do something like a helper function to avoid repeated code implementations of calculating the price. So func, we can do calculate price. And we could just put an item, which is going to be of type string. And this will return a float. And then we can just do this. So boom. And we can actually just return trade goods dot list dot item base price multiplied by the location. Yeah, so the base price of the item multiplied by the modifier of our location. So that should be what it needs. So we can just do that. And then what I can do here is I can remove this and I can just put calculate price, and I can just put in the item that I was going to use. Perfect. So now I'm going to copy this, and I'm going to do my control F again. I'm going to go up to the previous implementation. That's my helper function. I just made that. So P float. So we can swap this out for just that. But they don't call it item. It's selected item. So we can do selected item. There we go. So let's go up to the next implementation. Again, we're calculating the price. This is also selected item. So I'm going to change this to selected item. Boom. So that should work. This is, I did have it in 4 places. Wow. So this is labeled as key as opposed to item, which is fine. Not very consistent on the naming conventions, but it works. So there we go. We pretty that up a little bit. Load. Trade goods. Can I buy things? Let's see. I'm gonna take some gold. I'm gonna buy that. It's still there. Everything's functioning. So now I should be able to go back to Earth, sell that, hopefully for a profit. I'm gonna boost out of here. I'm gonna go to here. I'm gonna jump. Reducing my speed so I can warp. There we go. It's going in and boom. Awesome. There we go. Oh my god, I'm so fast. One thing I have to do is I'm gonna have to spread out the worlds, because there's no way the Earth should be this close to the sun. Right? But this is all just like proof of concept stuff. So if we go to trade goods, we can see gold sells for high, which is nice. Cool. So I fixed so I got that done. I broke the game and I fixed it again. So cool. I can mark that item off my list here. So refactor trade goods to be listed in locations. Done. That is done. So determine what ships, upgrades, and weapons any location with a shipyard will offer. This should also be part of the locations. So if we go back to my locations auto load, you can see I already kind of stubbed out these things here. So I would imagine that this is just going to be an array that just holds the different keys that they could be offered at. But now that I think about it, I do like the concept of how our trade goods, we have the good that we are trading and the price modifier for it. Because maybe there could be cheaper places to buy ships at. Do I want to do that? Is that a thing I should do? Is that a feature that would make sense? Because this is a feature I haven't implemented yet. The concept of like I mean, I've implemented it in a super basic function to where when you go to a place that's a shipyard, it has the ships for sale, but I have nothing that determines this currently. I'm just getting the list of my master list of ships that I have so far. I'm limiting them by the faction. So like the Coalition Arrowhead, this is also available for the independent faction. Whereas like ships like these, like the Synthocracy drone carrier and the Synthocracy flagship, those are Synthocracy faction ships only. So if I was on a Synthocracy planet or a coalition planet that had a shipyard, I would not see these. Instead, I would see the coalition ships instead. But I don't know if I want to do modifiers for these or not. I think just what I have now, just the price itself. Yeah, I don't know. On top of that, I also wanted to have different variants for each kind of ship. So why does this still say carrier class? Where is that code pulling that from? let's figure that bug out first of all. So shipyard grid item. So ship class is being defaulted to freighter. But this should be set by the let's go to my shipyard scene. Shipyard. Let's do browse window. Current ships for sale. This would show you the list of ships. So yeah, we're setting up our panel, our grid item scene. Wow, my God. Ooh. We're getting ship name, ship class, ship instance, get ship class. So let's take a look at that. It's defaulting to returning carrier. That's a problem. So here's a key detail that I missed. We're instancing the ship, but it's not added to the scene yet. And because I'm storing the ship tags in my ships JSON here, they're not part of the scene itself. So that's why that's defaulting to returning carrier, is because the tags is not set. Like tags is declared and it's initialized to a blank I think dictionary, but it's not, just doesn't have anything in it. So what I have to do is for this browse window, I have to do ship instance tags, not rage tags, equals ships dot, I will do ship name. So yeah, we'll do s dot name, and then we'll do tags. And so what that should do is that should populate the tags on that instance, so that now when I'm referencing get ship class, I can get that. The other problem that I have with it is that it was lowercase. So what I'm going to do is, since get ship class returns a string and it returns one no matter what, I'm going to just use the capitalize method to make sure that the first letter of that string is capitalized. So now if we load this, I go to shipyard, browse, we crashed. Unable to get index of synthocracy frigate on base node ships.gd. That's because I forgot to do ships.list. There we go. Let's try that. Ships.list, load, land, shipyard, browse. There we go. So now you can see synthocracy shuttle is now properly listed as freighter class as opposed to carrier class like it was. So not sure why the rest of these didn't show that. But yeah, cool. So that's working out. It should show the correct class on the ship itself as well. Freighter, fighter. We can only access freighters and fighters. We can't access any of the carriers or cruisers yet, which is fine. Those are faction based, which is all right. So anyway, cool. Random bug fixed. I still got a bit of time too. Awesome. I'm kicking ass. I'm in the zone. I'm feeling it. Feeling good. All right, so let's see. What are we going to do next? Let's go back to main. There we go. So Under things done since last episode, I'm going to say refactored trade goods to be part of locations. And that's basically I touched a few different files there, but it's something I want to bring up in my next devlog whenever I do that. So fix some formatting on shipyard window was all I did yesterday. Really? Probably. So determine what ships, upgrades, and weapons. Any location with a shipyard. This should also be a part of the locations. Okay. So we started on that process. So locations, shipyard ships, shipyard weapons, and upgrades. So I do think I am going to go with this approach where I have the key of what's being offered as well as the modifier. Because I do like the idea of some things being cheaper or more expensive depending on the location. So for example, some fringe world might have a shipyard and maybe you can get cheap junker ships pretty cheap, but like more expensive ships, if they're on offer, like they might be more expensive than they would be if you were to go to a core world, basically, right? Where a lot of those things are created. Another thing is, I remember in Escape Velocity Nova, you used to be able to buy used ships. And those had like reduced stats, but also reduced price. I don't know if that's something I want to do as well. I don't know. If I do decide to do that, I'll probably just make individual scenes for those variants. I'm probably gonna do that anyway, so that should be fine. And then yeah, I like that a lot. So let's change these to just be, I didn't want to wrap them in brackets. That's a cool thought though. Appreciate that. Guess it keeps them in place, which is cool. So I'm going to make these dictionaries as opposed to arrays. And then we're going to store. So let's copy these. Bring it down to our template down here. So we have our base location template. We have our trade goods template. Now let's also add in to-do template, right? So I'm going to do the triple quotes again. And then I'm going to put that here. So that's shipyard ships. So we'll do shipyard ships template. And then we're going to do copy this shipyard weapons template. There we go. I'm going to indent that so I can immediately copy and paste it right in the not struct but dictionary, so I can format it how I like. And then finally we're going to do shipyard upgrades template. Boom. Perfect. So this is basically just, so the key will correspond to what's in our ships here. So you can see we already have a bunch of these ships. So bunch of them. We're going to have a lot more. So what I want is, just for fun, I could copy and paste all of these individually, but that would be really lame. So what I'm going to do is, I'm just in main, in the ready function, I'm just going to do a quick like debug thing. So to do remove debug thingy. And I'm just going to say, hey, I'm going to print, and I'm going to put in ships dot keys, I think. What's the dictionary? Let's see, do we have a dictionary here? Come on. Look up a documentation for dictionary. There's a way to get the keys from it. Yeah, keys. It's the keys method. So ships.list.keys, which returns an array. If I just print that out, I should be able to pull that right from my little debug line here. So I can just copy this, stop this, go right into my locations, and then for the shipyard ships template, I could copy and paste that right in there. And that gives me something to work on. So now all I have to do is just put in what the values of them are. And we'll do. This is a lot better than, you know, manually typing all this stuff, which is kind of what I'm doing, but it's a lot less work this way. So save a little bit of work. If I was really snazzy, I could have like programmed it to format it and everything for me. I wouldn't have to do all this, but I'm not feeling that that cool today. So we're just gonna do it this way. There we go. Look at that. We're already like quarter of the way done. Not too shabby. Cool. It's a Docracy heavy freighter. And I'm just defaulting all the values to just be 1.0 because it is going to be a float. And then you can modify them. So similar to how I just defaulted them all to 1.0 here. The reason why I include the .0 is that you can't specify the types in the dictionary. So it uses inferred typing. I don't want it to infer it as a integer. I don't think Godot does that with numbers, but I just want it to be safe. I like to be explicit when I declare this so you can clearly see, okay, this is meant to be a float. So just, that was intentional how I did that. Go. Look at that, we're rocking it out. Oh, the joys of game development and development in general. See, if I would have invested the time to just format it for me as part of that little print function, I probably would have been a lot better off, but I'm already like halfway through it, so, and I'm stubborn. So we're just going through it anyway. .0. So this solution does lead to a problem, though, to where anytime that I add a ship, I still have to come to locations and update my template. Not necessarily update it, but I have to make sure that that ship is included in any locations that are selling it. So, yeah, whatever. Either way, it's going to be a lift to do it somewhere, because either I store it here in the locations and the ships, or for every ship, I specify what locations that they can be sold at, which is a weird relationship to establish. And I don't think I would like to do it that way. Those are the ways that I see to do it. There's probably more. There's probably better ways. I just can't think of anything off the top of my head. So for now, we'll stick with what I know will work. Whether or not it's the best solution, probably not. There's probably some data structures and algorithm guy that can come in here and tell you like, oh, this is what you got to do. And he'd be able to knock it out in like seconds. I am not that guy. Like, I'm kind of okay with, like, I understand basic data structures. I'm okay with algorithms. I'm not great at it. If I have documentation, I could figure most anything out. If I have time to Google it and research it, then yeah, I'm fine. But kind of coming up with stuff on the fly. I really like to, let's see, let me mute Discord here. Da, 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 da. Mr. There we go. That's fine. 1.0. Cool. So there you go. Shipyard ships template is now populated. So now shipyard weapons. So we're going to do something probably similar, except rather than ships.list, we're going to do weapons.list. Save. I'm going to run it. Now, maybe let's actually try to format it. So what I should do is, let's think about this logically. Let's do for item in weapons dot list dot keys. And what we're going to do is for every single item, I'm going to print the item that I want, but I also want to make sure that it's included in quotes. So I need to use an escape character to make sure it's formatted how I want. So what I can do is I can Google up print. Let's see. Print text. Okay, so I can print formatting a string. What about escape characters? Clamping, all this stuff is a lot more. So let me just Google it. Godot 3.6 string escape character. There we go. So it gives me an AI answer, which is probably not great. String. It's probably in the string documentation. So let's do a control F on here for escape. C escape. I don't want the method. I just want to be able to know what to include in a string. I'm glad they have a lot of escapes for this on, but okay. Well, I think I know what it is anyway. I think it's just a backslash. So let's try this. So I'm going to put in what the item name is. I'm going to do a backslash. And then I'm going to do plus item. Plus, I'm going to do another escaped slash. And then I'm going to do this. And then 1.0 followed by a comma. So that's what I want it to do. So if I do that, I should be able to say that. If I run it, now you can see here that if it will let me, I can only copy one line. There we go. Come on, go down. Can I scroll? Can I scroll? Let me scroll. There we go. Look at that. Copy. Perfect. Look at that. I'm learning. Boom. So we do that. So now if we go to our little shipyard weapons, paste those right in there, and then bam. I have the data formatted how I want. It's already there. Cool. So now we can do the same thing for upgrades. So I'm not going to do that for upgrades yet. Actually, I'm going to do it for upgrades, but I only have one upgrade anyway, currently. Upgrades. Save. Run it. Boom. Exit. So I only have this Syntocracy rotational thruster overtune made so far. And that was just to prove the concept that I could make an upgrade work. So I did. Locations, and then we'll just add that in there. Bam. So there we go. So we got all of this stuff staged, ready to be moved in the locations. So as I start specifying, you know, let's actually just take this right here. So we're going to say shipyard ships. I'm going to copy this. And let's say for the Earth shipyard, I'm going to overwrite this key. I paste it right in there. And we have a problem. I forgot to include a comma or a quote on that one. See, I was doing that one manually. If I did that one programmatically, I wouldn't have had that problem. Oh well. So here is where we can specify like the ships that are for sale at the shipyard. So let's take a look at this stuff here. So we already have all this synthocracy stuff. That's fine. Now we're doing two conflicting things though. So I think I'm going to have two factors to this. So one, this is what's specifying what's going to show up. But if we look at the shipyard screen, so if we go to, oh, where is it? Browse window. I think it's where it was. If we go to browse window, when it gets the list of ships, we're using a ships.get sellable ships by faction. So what this is going to do is when I remove this and use what I have in my location data instead, I could potentially have two sources of truth here. So for example, if in locations here, so Earth is a synthocracy controlled planet, right? So if I leave on the Coalition Crusader, why would Earth, which is a synthocracy controlled planet, be selling a Coalition flagship? So I'd have to make sure that I'm only including the ships I want to sell here. So this will be the source of truth, which should be fine. I think I'm just inventing my own problems. Ignore me. So what we can do is list of ships. I could probably just comment this out, and I could probably just do list of ships equals locations dot list, and we'll want the location name, which we already have right here, loc name. So loc name, and we will say dot shipyard ships. And then what we can do here, we no longer have a base price. Actually, we do. But, so this is getting the list of ships that are on sale at that location. And then what we can do is we're going to load ships.list, and we're specifying S for the string, like the key basically. So we're going to get that scene path. We're going to instance that ships.list.s. That's the ship name basically. So no, it's not. I need to do list of ships.keys. That will give me the actual names. You have a delightful laugh. Thank you. It's not something I hear every day. Cool. So list of ships.keys. The method keys is not declared on base array. Ah, this needs to be a dictionary instead. Dictionary, and we change these to to initialize it to be an empty dictionary. Doing list of ships.keys, that gives us all the keys of our key value pairs. Because earlier I would have just been referencing the value. I need the key itself, so we can get the keys with that keys method. So that should be fine there. So S is basically our key. I'm going to change this to be key. That way it's more intuitive as to what it means. Key. And then, so we can just change this to just be key, because that's what it is. So now we have the base price. So how are we going to do this? Let's do ships.list, and we're going to do key.base price, and we're going to multiply that or scale it by the modifiers that we have specified in our list of ships. So we can do list of ships key, and that will give us our price. And then, is the player authorized to purchase the ship? To do, think about how best to determine this. For now, just assume independent faction. Okay. So if ships.list key factions has. So one thing I could improve I didn't think of is all these times I'm referencing ships.list.key. So this stuff is already in memory because it's an auto load, but I wonder if it has a computational cost of having to fetch things from a list every time. I wonder if I should just define, you know, what the, I'll just say, let's see, define the ship data once. So I can do var ship data equals dictionary, and then what I can do is I can say equals ships.list, then we can specify the key. And then so now, instead of doing ships.list all the time, we can just do ship data. I don't know if that, if Godot handles that like in a way, but I would imagine that fetching a value from a dictionary probably has some sort of computational cost. Now I would imagine that scales up the larger that the dictionary gets. Now I don't anticipate my dictionaries being so damn big that's going to cause an issue, but I don't know. I'm going to do it this way because it makes sense in my head, and I get the warm and fuzzy feeling about it. So ship data. Oh, no, I forgot the S. Ship data. I'm not already using that as a scoped variable here, am I? No, I'm not. Okay, cool. So we got ship data. Yeah, because we're going through, we're iterating through every one of our keys. We're preparing the panel to list on our shipyard. We're getting the ship data once, and then we're referencing just that ship data to get the stuff we need about that particular ship, as opposed to having to grab that ship. Like the way I visualize it is it's kind of like, imagine I store it in a filing cabinet, and I have to go look through the filing cabinet to find the folder with the ship that has the name on it I'm looking for, like the actual ship I want to play with. And I'm grabbing that folder, going back to my desk, finding the piece I need. Then once I'm done, I go and put that filing cabinet back. And then once I hit the next thing, I need to grab the ship data again. So I have to go back to the filing cabinet. That's how I'm visualizing it in my head. Whether or not that's how it is in practice, how the engine handles it, I don't know. I can't imagine it's that way, but you never know. Just to be safe, I typically don't like to do lots of fetches. I view it like doing database queries. So it's like, rather than querying a database for the same info over and over again, you just query it once and you hold it in memory somewhere so that you can access it. But I think that since ships is an auto load that's already in memory, I think it's already in memory. So I don't think this even does anything. But I think it's still a good practice. So I'm going to do it anyway. It's my game. I'll do what I want. Okay, so ships.list.key. Let's do ship data for 1,000. So ship data.factions.has independent. Authorized is true. So I think that should fix that. So now if I load shipyard and I go browse, you can see now we have a lot of other ships available, but it incorrectly says requires Synthocracy authorization to purchase for things like the Coalition Crusader and the Coalition Firewall and the Coalition Tomahawk and all this different stuff, right? Like, these don't need Synthocracy authorization to purchase. So I still have to tweak my code there. So I got to think about that. But it does give us more options, which is cool. So now it's pulling that data from our locations, which is great. Cool. So let's go back to my shipyard ships key in my locations dictionary for Earth. And if I just remove the ones that won't be for sale. So Coalition Arrowhead, that's one of their fighters, and it's their like low-end fighter. So I think that one's fine to keep there. The Coalition Firewall is one of their cruisers, and I would imagine that's only for the Coalition faction to purchase, and it doesn't make sense to purchase that ship from a Synthocracy-controlled system. So I wouldn't put that there. Same with the Crusader, Tomahawk. The small freighter is fine. That one's like for commerce, whatever. And I would say the freighter itself is fine. The Spearhead is like their heavy fighter, and I don't think that is available for civilian purchase, you know what I'm saying? So we save that, and let's load it up again. Load, go back to our shipyard, and you can see it looks much the same as it did before, except now we have this Synthocracy drone, which costs -1 credits. That's because a drone is not meant to be a pilotable vehicle. So I don't want to include that. So it's just an easy matter of Synthocracy fighter drone, get the hell out of here. And then just to make sure that I don't make this mistake again, I can go down to these templates that I created, and Synthocracy fighter drone should never be available from a shipyard because it's a drone. The same with the other drones I'm going to have in this game as well. We don't need that in a shipyard, so we can get rid of that. Cool. So that works. Sweet. So now we are determining what ships are being sold at a location. I wonder what happens if I go to a location that has a shipyard, but I haven't defined any ships for it yet. So let's just boost out of here. I'm going to go over to the Zenith system. We're going to warp over there in a second. Oh, yeah. So now, woohoo! Dude, this is so fast. I swear to God, man. Fastest ship ever. All right, so let's bring it in, land, shipyard, browse. So now we have a problem. Invalid get index. So I haven't included that. So there's two things I could do. One, to avoid the game frickin' crashing, is I could probably just do a simple check here that says if locations.list location name has, we can specify the key of shipyard ships, then we can specify what list of ships are. Shipyard ships isn't declared. Oh, we gotta put that as a string. There we go. So we save that. So list of ships is still in scope. It's just a 0-value dictionary, which is my preferred thing. And I'm just iterating through it. If there's nothing to iterate through, this won't crash. And then there'll be no signals to connect, and there will just be a blank screen, is what it should be. So if we hit load, land, shipyard, browse, we don't have any ships for sale, which I don't know. Maybe I might want to do something like no ships available or something, which would be silly. Ideally, if that was the case, then there shouldn't be any shipyard button available if there's no ships for sale. Or at the very least, if they offer, let's think about it actually. So load, land. If I go to my shipyard, browsing ships for sale is not the only option that a shipyard has. Maybe I could customize my ship. So maybe I might have to track that on this little screen here and determine like, hey, what do you want to do? I can't browse because there's no ships available, but maybe I could customize my ship and maybe they offer some modifications and stuff like that. So, okay. I got a little more thinkificating to do on that, which is fine. So let's keep that how it is for now. I'm going to call that a victory for now. So we've got that. Shipyard ships. Awesome. I kind of want to add like a coalition controlled world, but I don't want to do it right now. Do I have any sprites drawn up for other worlds? So if I go to sprites, hand-drawn locations, looks like I got a few. Celestia, Moon, Noxiusia. That's a hard pronounce. I have a Diable Star. I don't know why I have that there. I have Zenith. Well, I think all of these I'm currently using. So, okay. Should be fine. That's all right. I might have to crank out some more art assets here pretty soon. I know I've got a few like staged and ready to go for the upgrades. I think I've got a few of the upgrades. Let me pull this over here real quick. Ba-da-ba, ba-da-ba. So let me look through. Let me see if I do have. You put it in a list, sort by date modified. I'm pretty sure I downloaded list, date modified. Let's see. I thought I downloaded some other sprites to work on. I still remember where I put them. In documents? Oh god. Glad I have this off screen. There's lots of sensitive stuff in here. Let's see. Not here either. Not that I see. It's got to be in downloads. But I don't see it anywhere. Here it is. Yeah, here it is. So I have a few like weapons and upgrades that were ready to go. I guess it won't let me zoom in. Anyway, whatever. I'll zoom in this way. So some of these have already been like colored and textured or whatever. And so like this is the medium. I think so this is the medium gun. This is going to be the medium turret. This is the light gun turret, light gun. I haven't used these ones yet. I haven't used that one yet. There's the heavy cannon turret. I haven't used that one yet. That's funny. Here's the laser beam. And then this, I don't even know what the hell that is. What is that supposed to be? I don't even know. Then we got down here, we have upgrades. So I've used this one currently. Let me get over here. What was that? There we go. So I've used this one currently. Whee! Yeah. So that's the turn one. This one will boost your. I don't remember if this was boost or if this was like a top speed. I think this is just top speed. This is your deceleration. This is going to be your acceleration. This is ship armor, which just basically increases like your hit points. This is battery power, which is going to increase. So I haven't implemented it yet, but your like number of jumps that you can do. This increases how many jumps you can do. And then this is like a radar dish that will be spinning. I thought that'd be kind of cool. I just made a circle, I guess. I don't know why. This is supposed to be like a solar panel. And then this is, I don't know, something else. I don't know what these are. But I had a few upgrades created. I just have to do the art and then import them, like finish texturing them and then importing them in here. So yeah, pretty cool. And I also have to, that reminds me, I have to fix some of the sprites I've already imported because some of them are really jacked up. So I'm going to go back to my main function and things to do. Fix poorly cropped or fix sprites that have really bad edges. Because some of them are suck. Like if I bring up, let's see, I'm just gonna go to hand drawn. These are all ships. Let's go here. Hand drawn, open in file manager. So you can see some of these are pretty rough. So if we go to the Synthocracy drone carrier, this thing is really rough. Because if we look right here, I forgot to remove that white. So that's still there. And then some of the edges look really bad. Like there's a gray border around it, like it still has some alpha. And that shows up in the game. I don't like that. So I have to fix that. But normally once something is done, I basically put like metal textures on it and I sort of skin it in a way. So I make it look all metal and like shippy, if that makes sense. So yeah, there we go. Anyway. Cool. So where was I? So shipyard ships done, shipyard weapons. Let's implement that on the data level, on the data layer first. So we have to make sure it's included here. Oh yeah, I was gonna make sure that I was gonna update the other place that has a shipyard. So this place doesn't have a shipyard. Show false. So I think what I can do as well is that rather than having this menu button struct, since I'm already storing the shipyard ships, weapons, and upgrades, if it has any of those keys, then this shipyard show would be true. And I could just have it say shipyard or something. So I don't even need to necessarily have this. I'm not sure why I chose this approach anyway. That seems kind of bass-backwards. I could even simplify this further by just saying, hey, menu buttons, just, I don't know, like so this one, show false text button text, I can just get rid of this. And if it's not there, then it doesn't have a shipyard. I don't know. Maybe I should refactor that really quick too. First, let's go back here. So shipyard show true. This one will have shipyard stuff. So we're going to add shipyard ships. So what faction is this for? Factions. So they are also part of the harmonious Synthocracy. So for this, I think that since this is like a, let's see, a beacon of hope and prosperity. Breathtaking landscape, awe-inspiring natural wonders. Okay. highly advanced civilization known for its expertise in biotechnology, terraforming, interstellar navigation. Cool. So maybe they do have a few different types of ships on offer, but maybe they don't offer the best, you know what I'm saying? So drone carrier, let's not include that one. The flagship, let's not include that one. And I think the heavy frigate, let's also not include that one. So those are sort of like their capital ships, basically. I don't think it should offer that. And I think that the Arrowhead shouldn't be offered either. In fact, I don't think I like that being offered at on Earth either. I think the freighter and small freighter are fine, because those are just commerce like ships. No big deal. But yeah, I think that should be fine. And then also heavy fighter, I don't think that should be offered here either. And frigate. I don't think any other warship should be offered. So just transport, shuttle, freighter, heavy freighter, light fighter. That's fine. And then luxury shuttle. Actually, I'm not even gonna put any combat vehicles. It's all combat ships. So there we go. Cool. So there you go. We've added the shipyard ships to the only other location I've created so far in this little slice I'm preparing for the game, to just test all the systems. So yeah, that's fun. So now we have this for ease of access. Yeah, that's fine. Okay, so let's fix this menu buttons debacle here. I don't know what the hell I was thinking when I made this. I was just throwing it together and seeing what worked. So we do have, yeah. So let's go back to main. I'm going to save. And just for fun, I'm going to comment this whole thing out, since I'm not using the whole ready function for main. And then let's go to my location window. So if I go to UI, and this is not grouped well, location window. Let's take a look at what we got. We have test location, and then we have a bunch of buttons. So let's see what my code is doing. So in the ready function, we're getting our UI nodes ready. So right off the bat, I think I made this early on when I ported this game to Godot, and I didn't know about the onReady keyword. So I'm going to get this out of here, and I'm going to set all of this to be onReady variables. So we'll do onReady, copy, oh, boom. Where even am I? What am I doing? What is happening? I see, I was scrolling down. There we go. Brain is fried from work today. So there we go. So we're specifying that as onReady. So get references to our UI nodes that we'll need to manage. And then, so now we can go through here and we can initialize the properties of our UI nodes. Cool. So all we're doing is just setting, I see. Yeah, this is something I wrote early on when I was porting my existing Game Maker stuff to Godot. So let's tweak this as well. So let's see, let's take a look. So for our location Earth, right, we have this menu buttons here. I don't know if I should keep this Or if I'm going to break everything out into their own sub objects or sub dictionaries, and we can just check for the presence of that as I add them. I think for now I'm going to keep this, but I am just going to keep this as a dictionary, but I'm not going to have a dictionary that just stores more dictionaries. I'm just going to have shipyard, and it's going to have like what the button text is going to be. So, because this would provide more flavor rather than just doing, oh, shipyard, you can go to Bilbo Swaggins' Ship Emporium or something, right? Which would be more immersive, I think. So, I like that idea. So let's just do shipyard, and let's say this is, would be a good name. You know what? I'm just going to do Bilbo Swaggins' ship wholesale, right? So maybe you could go to like a big old shipyard there, right? So we can add that. And then, so for trade goods, we'll do the same concept to where it's like Bobbert's Market of Justice, which seems kind of weird, right? This is a big ass planet. You're not going to be confined to just one entity, maybe. So I don't know. Either way, I still get to determine the custom button text. Whether or not I choose to use this or not doesn't really matter. I still have the option. So then we're just gonna boo the bar employment center, and then for special we can just do like Synthocracy HQ, right? So save. But so now that we have that specified at this level here, so let's go and fix the rest of these. So menu buttons, there's no shipyard. There are trade goods, so we will have some button text here. So let's say this is a Crowley's Mart. I don't know. And the rest of this stuff doesn't even show. Doesn't matter. So no shipyard here. But we do have trade goods. Rest of this stuff isn't even available at this location, so we're just gonna switch this to Traders Plaza. I don't know. Just whatever names you want to put for these locations, we can do that. I like that. Now Celestia does have a shipyard, so we can just name this as something like nope, don't do that. Keep that. Let's get rid of this. Backspace and then quotes. There we go. And then we can do Celestia's shipwrights. Right? Cool. They do have trade goods, so we can say Epicenter. I don't know if I should do the ER or the RE. I think the RE is a more fancy spelling, so we're going to do that of mercantile stuff, right? I don't know, whatever. Epicenter of commerce. We'll do that. That's a more business sounding thing. So they do have a bar, which we just had listed as job postings here, which is fine. Job. Oh my god, I suck. Stop it. Why am I doing this to myself? Okay. Boom. Job postings. And then there is no special here. Cool. And then These guys don't have anything here. This place kind of sucks. So we can just get rid of all this shit because it doesn't have any of it. So menu buttons, I still want the menu buttons themselves to be present for now, but I don't know. Then we have Zenith, Barren and Lifeless Planet, which is also going to be an empty structure-rooney. Put a space there just for fun. Save. Okay. So now let's modify our location window to handle that change, which shouldn't be too big of a deal. So let's see. Let's go to shipyard button. So let's see. First, we're going to get the menu items that are available for this planet. And so we're going to do locations dot, let's see, let's do var menu items is a dictionary, and it's going to equal locations dot list, and we already have the location name being passed to us, and we can say menu items. And so what we can do here is that and also, we have these buttons predefined on the scene. I don't think we need that. I think the only button we should have predefined is this leave button. And we also have the signals connected via our node inspector up here. So you can see this is connected up here. Which I can connect it via code instead. So I think what I might do is, do I have anything special for this button as far as like theme overrides or anything like that? No. Okay, so I can construct these buttons on the fly and just add them. So what I'm going to do here, I'm just going to hide them for now, because I already have my buttons container here. So if I go in the script, I'm going to hide these. I don't need to have them hard-coded. And I don't think I need to have these hard-coded as well. But I'll have them, I'm going to keep these connector functions here. So these are no longer the auto-generated ones. I'm going to say these are signal connector functions. There. I'm going to get rid of these nodes. We don't need to have these. Delete nodes. Okay. So now we have our buttons, which is empty. So now what we're going to do is we're going to iterate through our menu items, create the buttons, and set the text. So for item in menu items, so remember, menu items is our dictionary. It has a bunch of key value pairs, which is perfect for a dictionary. And we're going to say, let's see, var btn, we should do btn for button, of type button equals button.new, which is how we initialize it. And then we will do btn text equals so how are we going to know what to connect via signal? By the key. We're gonna know that by the key. So rather than doing item in here, I'm gonna do menu items.keys. That way we can get the actual key. Because if we were just doing this for item in menu item, we're only going to get the value. But this way, if we get the keys and iterate through each key, then we can access the value via the key of that dictionary. So I'm going to change this. So for I'm going to say option in menu items, button text equals option equals menu items. And then we'll just put option in here. So actually, no, I'm going to change this to key to be consistent with the rest of my implementations that I've been doing here. So it's a key. So menu items key, that's going to give us the value that we set. And then we're going to need to determine like what signal to connect. So then we're going to set that. We're going to add it to our scene. So first we have to get the reference to that. So on ready var buttons, which is going to be, looks like a VBox container. And we're going to do, so this is in CC HBC buttons. So when I make my nodes over here, I like to like abbreviate them. So I forgot what CR is. I think it's color, yeah, color rectangle. And then I have the CC, which is a center container. I have HBC, which is a HBox container. I have a VBC, which is a VBox container. And so any ones that I would need to reference or that hold stuff, I typically abbreviate so that way as I'm doing quick references, the paths aren't super freaking long and they don't go way off the screen, which is something that could easily happen, especially on bigger screens like like any of my other UIs that are just massive that I should break out into separate UIs, but whatever. So now we have the reference to that. So now we're going to do buttons add child, because we're going to add it to the scene as a child of our buttons container, btn. And then we're going to connect the signals. So determine which signal to connect. This is probably not a good way of doing it. What I probably should do is on this menu buttons dictionary, I should probably specify what signal it should emit, but this auto load wouldn't really have knowledge of what signal to emit for this location window. That's the location window's job to determine it. So I think I'm just gonna do a match, which is Godot's version of a switch statement, and I'm gonna match key, and basically I'm gonna do case, and I think that's how we do it. How do we do a match? I always forget. Godot 3.6 match statement. Let's Googleificate. GD script. Why are we on 4.4? I specified 3.6. Thank you. Let's do a search for match. GD script basics. Control F for match. C match. I'm looking for it. Okay. We don't even need case. Crash course for people who are familiar with switch statements. Replace switch with match. Remove the case. Remove any breaks you don't want. If you don't want to break by default, you can use continue for a fall through. Change default to a single underscore. Got it. So we don't even need to put case. That's a nice feature. I like that. We don't need case. What we need is we can say shipyard. And if it is a shipyard, we're going to do the following. We are going to, let's see. We're going to btn connect. We are going to connect the pressed. Man, I don't remember what it's called. Let's look at the button documentation. Let's go to the, where is it? Where are your signals? Probably part of the base button class, which it inherits from. Here we go, signal. So it's just pressed. So we can do connect, pressed. We're going to connect it to ourself, and we're going to connect it with the method that we have named, which is on shipyard pressed. I'm just going to connect this. There we go. We don't have to pass any values to it, so we're good to go there. So then we can just continue on our merry way. So what's next? So we go back to our locations. We have trade goods. So if it's of type trade goods, then we can do something similar. I'm just going to copy this, paste it, and then on trade press, copy that. Boom. We don't need the quotations in there. I'm going to copy this. I'm going to paste it. And then I don't even really have this implemented yet, but if it is, I think I just labeled it bar. Because that's what it was in Escape Velocity Nova. You can go to the space bar and you can meet random people and there might be quests and stuff. And so I was like, sure, I'll do that. That was my initial thought process. So on bar pressed, and then what else do we have? Let's go up to Earth. We have special. Special. So special. So cool. So now we're going to add special. And I think I copied everything. No, that's right. Fine. Special. I am fumbling my keyboard today. btn.connect. We're connecting the pressed signal to ourself. And we're connecting it with our on special pressed method. Cool. So there we go. We've determined our buttons dynamically. So as I add more buttons, all I have to do is come in here and add a switch statement or a match case that handles the signal I want to do or whatever action I want to facilitate. And then finally, I can do, once our buttons are added, let's ensure we add the leave button. Otherwise we are trapped, which is not fun. So then we have on leave pressed, and we're gonna do something similar here. So all we're gonna do is we're just gonna create var btn button, copy this here. This is indented weird. Let me do a shift tab on that bad boy, and for the text, we're just gonna have it say leave. We're gonna add that child, and then we're going to do btn connect. We're connecting the pressed signal as well. We're connecting it to ourself, and we are connecting it to our on leave pressed method here. Boom. So this should work now. In theory. No, it does not. Invalid get index menu items on base dictionary. Location name. Locations.list.menu items. So location.list, we specify the key, which should give us access to all of this crap. Oh, it's menu buttons. That's what it is. Menu buttons. Maybe I should change that to be menu items, because it's a more, I don't know, let's just change it. Do a little control F, and then, oh, what's the thing I get to do? Where is it? Editor. I can never, is it control shift F? Let's find in files, replace, here we go. Find menu buttons, and I want to replace it with menu item. So replace all. Resave. Close that. Reopen it again. So it's still set to be, what the hell? Okay. Control Shift F. Menu buttons. That did not work how I wanted it to. Let's go to replace. We're going to replace it with menu items. Replace all. Reload. Refresh. There. Okay. That is not an intuitive thing. Hey, what's up, Zaki? Welcome. You made it. I'm only probably on for about an hour, though, at most. But welcome. I'm making some good progress on my game. I'm fixing a lot of stuff. It's awesome. I'm in the zone. I feel good. I feel like I've done more coding in the last, like, hour than I have in, like, the last month, which is great. I feel like I'm actually fixing things. I'm improving stuff. Feels good. So now if I run this, load, our menu items show up, and you can see we have our unique names for stuff now, which is interesting. And if we go to a planet that doesn't necessarily have anything, like let's go to this red planet over here. Yeah, Zenith. This one is one of the ones that is like basically a dead planet. So if I slow down, there you go. So we got one option, leave. So the whole layout of this screen, I need to change big time because I'm not liking it. But I think that, I don't know, it's functional. That's all good. I see. I don't understand anything, but you're cooking. Hell yeah. That's all good. So cool. So I fixed that. So let me modify that. Let me go back here. I'm going to say refactored menu items and how I handle them for location window, which is not really that big of a change, but it's something. Adds a little flavor to it. So we're handling that in a better way. So that's cool. So we got ships that are specified. Oh yeah, I also refactored shipyard. Ships that are available to be determined by location rather than faction. So that's good. Cool. And we have modifiers for those as well. So let's say, for example, let's put this to the test. So for this location, so Earth, like everything is pretty standard price rise. But let's say like Coalition, let's maybe make these like a little bit more expensive because they're not in Coalition space. And maybe the things like the Synthocracy shuttle, maybe they're like a little cheaper because you're on the home world. Let's see, what would be, and then let's do, yeah, let's just do that just to see how it looks. And then over here on Celestia, which does have a shipyard, let's say that stuff is just a little more expensive because it's out in the middle of nowhere. Oh yeah, heavy freighter, yeah. Luxury shuttle, we'll make that more expensive. And then the Coalition stuff, still more expensive. Save. So now, if I load my game, and I go back to this planet over here, which should be Celestia, it is. F to land. So Celestia's ship rights, we can browse ships. So now you can see the prices are a little different. That's kind of crazy. These prices are insane. I have to adjust these so bad. So there you go. Now we can see we have ships that are on offer here that are priced differently. So a Synthocracy shuttle here costs 1,050,000 credits. And if we go to back to Earth, boom, let's boost out of here. Boost. Go back to Genesis, flowing down. We're gonna zoom in and boost in a second. Oh. Ooh. Oh my god. Okay. Flying. Oh my god. Slow it down. Slow this pig down. So now if we go here to Earth, we have a bunch of options here. We have Bilbo Swaggins' Ship Wholesale. We have Bobbert's Market of Justice. We have the Employment Center. We have Synthocracy HQ, or we could leave. So let's go to Bilbo Swaggins' Ship Wholesale. Browse the ships. You can see now we've got a different variety of ships, and the prices are determined by the location as well. So this Synthocracy shuttle here only costs 800,000 credits, as opposed to like what it did before, which was I think 1,000,000 base. So that's cool. And then the coalition ones are a bit more expensive. So this one for some reason is 275 million. Seems a bit much to me, you know what I'm saying? Brr. I think I'm gonna adjust these prices because this seems like this seems to overkill. So I gotta reevaluate those for sure. So let's leave that. I'm happy with that change. It works. Let's go back to main, and I'm gonna add on things to do. Re-evaluate the prices. Actually, no, I'm gonna do this. Squish the damn prices. Too many numbers. WTF. There we go. I'm gonna add that note to my future self. Cool. So we got that fixed. So next are upgrades. So I think before I work on more upgrades, I should make more upgrades. So in my upgrades here, I only have one. So, oh my god. Yeah, I'm definitely feeling it. It's okay though. I survived Monday. That's good. So let's start. Let's actually. So I have some of these sprites that I can basically gussy up and get ready. So I guess I can work on bringing some of these in and making them function how I like and making the scenes for them. So let's bring in. Let's do it. Let's reduce that zoom because that's hella big. Let's open up. Let's see. I've got multiple things. I got colored paint. I'm just gonna do Krita because that lets me do this masking thing that I like to do. So let's pop open Krita. Look at that, recent images, perfect. So what I'm gonna do here is so we already have this one done. I think this one is to increase our max speed. Let's see. By the way, if you talk to me and I don't respond, I'm just sitting back, relaxing, doing my own thing. I will say the game looks better from the last time I saw it. Is it up for being wishlisted? No. It is not even close to being ready for wishlisting yet. There are a ton of things that I have to add to it. And I should, you know what? I should, I don't know. Let me finish the core mechanics of it first, and then I can put together like a funny trailer for it, and then I could like, and then I can wish list it or make a wish list on Steam. Because I also want to sort of document that procedure, or at least like detail what it's like when I make a devlog about it, because I haven't put a game up on Steam yet. So that's a new experience I'm eager to try. I put up like some silly games on like itch.io and stuff like that were like for game jams, but I haven't like released a game that I plan to make money on Steam. So that's kind of cool. So let's see here. So I'm gonna take this one. So first things first, let's see, how do I crop this pig? That's a square. That's not a select tool. Transform a layer, or here we go. Crop the image to an area. Why are you doing that? That is weird. Stop that. Don't do that. I see, it's auto-selecting. So I don't want that. I just want to, here we go. Cool, so I cropped it. So let's crop it again. Give it a little crippity crop. So I want to get that in here. And then we can go here. There we go. So I cropped it. So now I need to like color it. And how I color these is I use some textures. And so what I'm going to do is I need to file open. Look at that. I already have my textures here. So let's view them. I wish I could view what they are. So that's in my pictures, textures. So let's go to pictures. And let's go to textures. So let's see. So what textures do we want? I want, let's see, we're going to need, let's do metal texture 10, 11, 9. So 8, 9, 10, and 11. That should give me enough to play around with. So let's do 8, 9, 10, and 11. Let's open these. I didn't want to add them as separate. I did that wrong. Okay. Let's close those. I remember now. Okay. Let's go to layer. Let's go to import. Import layer. Let's do 8, 9, 10, 11. Did it add those as a layer? I don't think it did. What the hell happened? Oh, it's working on it. It's still working on it. I see. So let's do. So we have 8 and 11. So layer, import layer. We need 9 and 10. I'm going to open those. There, it adds it as layers. So let's put the background on top though. Okay, so now what I'm going to do is I'm going to specify a mask that I can use to kind of color this. So on these layers over here, at the on the right here, I'm just gonna, for these 4 textures I added, I'm gonna right click these puppies. And then what did I do before? I went to add transparency mask. And I'm gonna do that for every one of these. I'm pretty sure. Add transparency mask, add transparency mask. Pretty sure that's what we do. No, that's not working how it was. How do we do it then? It's add, is it filter mask? No, it's not filter. I'm pretty sure it's a damn transparent. Oh yeah, it is a transparency mask, and then I completely cover them. So we're gonna add transparency mask, add transparency mask, add transparency mask. So for every layer, I'm gonna basically fill it in. There. And then so what I can do is I can basically use like, not the eraser, but the brush. And then for my brush, come on. Let me pick a damn color here. Oh, so it's set to be eraser. That's not what I want. How did I do this before? It's been so long. Let's see. Brush presets. All. Just give me a standard brush. How about that? Favorites. Nope, that's not what I want. How do I set the damn color? Oh, right here. Here we go. That's not working either. So we want to actually dye it black. Then I want to color it. There we go. We got something working at least. Let's do. Where is pixel art? Let's crank up the brush size to not that damn big. Holy crap. Let me specify a value. Let's do 5. How about that? Is that reasonable for you? Okay. So then I can basically color with this texture. That's what I was trying to do. Holy cow. It took me way too long to remember that. So let's crank up this brush size. Really? How the hell do I zoom? Why do I keep zooming out? Zoom in. View. Yeah, this is my least favorite part of making the game, is figuring out all the different drawing programs to do what I want it to do. What do I zoom in? There we go. Jesus. Why is that so hard? Okay. So now, size, let's do 15. Go back to my paint tool. And let's just color. I'm going to make this red. And I can just color in the lines here. Easy peasy. And then I can switch to a different layer. And let's make this maybe 5. Maybe 7. Better. And then what I can do is I can color in with this new texture for only this part. So that kind of works. And that's what I've done for all the art, for all my ships. That's what I did. And that's what I'm going to stick to. So then I'm going to switch to this texture. Put some of that there. And then maybe for fun, we'll switch to this one. And we'll put a little bit like over here. And there you go. Bam. We have a little upgrade that we can add to our ship. So it doesn't look great, but it works. Did I get all that? There we go. Cool. So now what I can do is file. I can export this. I can export this as documents, Axe Wizard, not Axe Wizard Rifts of Rage. I want Neurality 3092. I can export it to sprites, hand-drawn, upgrades, and then I can add in that this is basically a max speed, right? I could save that. And I'll hit OK. Cool. So now if I go back into Godot, it popped up a thing, imports that. Hey, what's up, coward? What a name. What's up, coward? Nice. So now I've imported that. So Godot automatically imported it. It detected that change and imported it. So now in my sprites, in my hand drawn and under upgrades, I now have that max speed sprite available. So I could use that. But let's go back to Krita. Let's undo like everything and do it right. Where I could do this more. Here we go. So we have our base image, right? So the first thing we want to do is let's import all the layers that we're going to use. So layer, import layer. So what was I using? I don't want my terminal, but thank you. It's not what I clicked. So I'm thinking that we should do kind of like, so 9, 10, and 11. I like those textures a lot. 15's all right. I might do, so let's see. I don't know. I might have to come up with like some more colors. Can a white boy get some context on what's going on? So I'm in the middle of refactoring a lot of crap, but some context on what's going on for the last half hour that I'm going to be streaming for today is I refactored a bunch of stuff to make more sense. So in this game, it's a 2D top-down space RPG. Let's just run the game so you can see what we got so far. Load. We are in space, right? We fly ships around. Cool. There are spaceships and stuff. We can shoot weapons. Awesome. Pew, pew, pew. All this stuff. So I was streamlining or refactoring a lot of the back-end code with how my locations and stuff are handled. So for all the ships that we can buy, I was kind of setting like individual prices for each location. I can now determine that on a location level. I can determine what the buttons say. So Bilbo Swaggins' ship wholesale is probably not going to be what the shipyard of Earth is called, but pretty cool. And then trade. I also fixed some stuff on the trade screen so you can trade around. I haven't done anything with these two buttons yet. And so now let me go back. I'm working on the shipyard customization. So I want to be able to add modifications or upgrades to the ship. So to do that, I have to specify more upgrades. So I've only got one upgrade made so far. So I was just showing how I make the sprites used and how I texture them or color them to be imported into Godot. So let's go back to Krita. Let's go back here. Nice, I fuck with it. Sweet. Cool. So let's pick out what textures we want. 9, 10, 11, for sure. 12, why not? 15. Let's just do 7 through 15. 7 through 15. Open those bad boys up. Give Krita a second to handle it. I'm going to move the background to the top of the list here. And so it adds all those here. Now, for most of our stuff here, this is perfectly fine. So once I crop this layer here. So first, let's also add our transparency mask to each of these layers. Add transparency mask, add transparency mask, add transparency mask, add transparency, add transparency, add transparency. Lots of scary data. Well, it's not as scary as it used to be before I refactored it. That was some scary data. So now that we have our transparency masks, let's fill those in. So I'm going to fill this in with black. Transparency mask, fill it in. Fill it in. Fill it in. And then what I can do is if I color with a white brush, it basically colors with the texture that I'm using, which gives it a much more unique feeling than... It looks a lot less like an MS Paint drawing this way. It looks like it's got like some character to it, you know? So let's figure out what we're going to be doing next. So this is a deceleration mod. We can probably do that one. So let's crop this pig. Boom. Let's crop it like right there. Crop it like right there. And we'll enter to crop it. And our layers should still be, our layers should be cropped too, automatically, which is cool. So now, problem is, shit. So before I crop it, I got to move it. I got to move it, move it. So let's see, we're going to transform a layer or selection. We're going to select the background. No, stop it. How do I select? Give me something to select here. Crop the image, move a layer, transform a layer. Here we go. Rectangular selection. Cool. So now we got this. No, stop it. Oh my God. There you go. You would think after I select something that I want to frickin' move it, right? So I would like it to go to the move tool. No, I have to specify the frickin' move tool. So now I can move it. And I'm going to move it up top here. And then once we have that, then we go and crop it. Look at that. Now we can crop that. Crop it, baby. Enter. Now it's cropped. Our textures are cropped. Yeah. Is all the trade and ship field stuff as complicated as it looks? From the outside, it looks like you're simulating a whole economy. I don't know about a whole economy. Like it's a simple representation of an economy. So going back to my locations, for every location that we have, every planet that we have, every planet has like its own different attributes of things, and every planet has its menu items as what you can do on a planet, and then there's ships that you can buy from there, as well as their pricing modifiers. And then there's also the trade goods, which also have their own modifiers. So yeah, there is a bit of like a economy, and with this I can tweak things on the fly as the game progresses. So say for example, if later on you do some sort of mission or quest or something that affects a planet, I could modify all these values based on that. If I wanted to be super hardcore, I could like modify the values based on like the volume of trade and stuff you're doing, but I'm not going that deep. These are going to be static unless you do something to change them, such as something that would affect the economy. So for example, if you blew up a world, their economy might not be so good, but it might also affect all the prices of the worlds and neighboring systems. So it's a I'm not gonna say super basic, but it's a stripped down implementation of it. But long story short, yeah, like, so this is all the data that we have for just Earth. This is like 57 lines or something like that of just data about Earth. And mostly it's about what you can do on Earth as far as like in the context of the game. I haven't even done the weapons or the upgrades yet, so that's what I'm working on. I could probably do the upgrades, but or the weapons, but I want to do the upgrades first because I want to figure that out, because the weapons will use a lot of the same logic, so it should work pretty nice. So now that we have this cropped, so what we can do is now we can bring up our brush, We can switch our color to be white, and we can draw on a transparency layer, and now we're coloring with a texture, which is neat. So what textures do I want to use for this? So I'm going to kind of go with I think I should go with a red. Oops, I drew on the layer itself, not the transparency layer, which is what we need. I'm going to go with a red for this. I know I went with a red for the last one, but I don't know. I'll go with a green for the other one. There we go. And then we'll just do, let's do like this one. Oh, I'm drawing on the layer itself again. I need to draw on the transparency layer. There we go. Zoom in a bit. Look at this precision pixel editing. Amazingly bad. Oh, I zoom in enough, I get a grid. It's a nice little feature. I didn't know that. Grid action. There we go. So we have a basic upgrade that we've added. So now I can export, and I can export this as, I'm just going to say deck speed, because this is going to modify your deceleration speed. So save that. Okay. If I go back into Godot, screen flashes, and it does import it. So now we have our deck speed. Cool. So now I can go back into Krita. I can do Controls D a bunch, and then I can pick out a different thing. So I already got the armor plating done. Let's knock out this. Basically the same thing, except rotated. I mean, I could have just rotated the existing one. I don't know why I made a separate one. Whatever. Let's grab the move tool. I'm going to move this towards the top. Whoa, I did not want to do that. I need to move background layer. Thank you. Move that. And then I'm going to crop that pig. Crop it. Let's trim it down so there's not a lot of space. Enter. It's now cropped. All of our transparency layers are now cropped. So then for this one, where's my green? I thought I had a green. Okay, layer, import. God damn it. I really wanted green. I don't think I imported my green. So before I crop it, let me import that layer. Import. It won't let me import it. So I don't, how do I clear my selection? There we go. Now layer, import. It won't let me import a layer. Empty bottle of water just fell. That was cool. Anyways, gotta go, man. Hope you have a great stream. Thanks, Zaki. Hope you have a good night. Later, man. Thanks for stopping by. All right, let me figure out how to import this layer. Import, here we go, import layer. So which one was the green one? That was, oh, green rust. That's probably a good name for it. Let's open that bad boy up. So now we have green rust. I'm gonna drop that down here. I'm gonna add a transparency mask, just like I did before. I'm gonna fill it with black. Boom. Switch back to my background. Switch back to my brush. Switch that back to white. And now we're going to crop it. So crop. Close enough. And now we can color on the transparency mask. So I definitely want this one to be green. So we will make it green. Super interesting stuff. I mean, I guess it's interesting. To be fair, I haven't really seen this style like done before until my friend who was like really into art showed me how to do it. I was like, oh, cool. That's awesome. I had no idea that it was a possibility to do it this way. So then, let's see, what texture should we use for this? I kind of want to go with something different. Oops, I'm drawing on the texture itself. I need to draw on the transparency layer. There we go. Yeah, let's go with that. That's good to me. Mix it up. Everything here is subject to change, right? These are just get something working and then refine it from there. So there we go. So we have a, yeah, I know, I hit cancel on that. Export, let's export it. We're going to export it as acceleration speed, or ACS speed for short. Save that, hit OK. Control Z a few times. There we go. So now I can basically move this out of the way. And oops, I am not doing the right thing. Move this out of the way. And then I'm going to do one more. Let's do a fun one. Let's do this dish that I want to have rotating. So I think this circle was so it can rotate on the dish or rotate on the platform. So I want, let's see, what are we going to do for this? Let's select this. And then we're going to take our move tool, move it up here. Okay, we're going to hit our select tool again. We're going to click somewhere, just deselect. Now we are going to crop it. This is a pretty rough sprite. I could touch it up, but I'm not. I'm going to keep that hand-drawn aesthetic to it. And then so now everything else is done, like a scaled or cropped. So let's do this texture. So I'm going to do this one. I'm drawing on the texture again. I need to draw on the transparency mask. Here we go. So we'll do this one here. This is supposed to be like a rotating satellite dish. That's what it's supposed to be. Whether or not it actually looks like that, you know, kind of remains to be seen. But yeah, I'm going to keep that how it is. I think it looks pretty good. And so we got that. Now let's do a darker one. Maybe not too dark, but like a little darker. There we go. Precision. Nice. Look at that. Focus. What is your opinion on operator overloading? That's a good question. Let me Google what that is. I think I think I know what it is, but operator overloading. It's a C++ thing? I don't know much about C++. So I guess, what is it? First of all, operator overloading. When an operator appears in an expression, at least one of its operands has a class type and in an enumeration type, then overload resolution is used to determine the user-defined function to be called among all functions whose signatures match the following. Expression. It's where you can, for example, add two vectors using a plus sign. Oh. Okay. Operator overloading. So I guess in C++, what is a... Oh, instead of doing vector 3, add vector 1, vector 2. I think it's more intuitive. So based on just that example alone, so if I'm adding, like, so say, for example, in Godot, it's a common thing to do with like vectors all the time. Is to do like, I do it like in my ship code, in my, let's see, process stuff, when I'm determining how we're going to move. So I'm determining like what our velocity is going to be. And then sometimes I will add things to my velocity. So for example, here we have velocity, which is a vector 2, and I'm adding motion to it. So I'm doing a plus equals. I don't know. I don't really have an opinion on it. It's a common pattern I see. I much prefer it rather than having to do velocity.add or vector2.add. I don't know. What are your opinions on it? I'm curious. Because everything pulled up C++, I'm like, I haven't messed with C++ that much. I have a basic fundamental knowledge of like just programming, but I don't know about C++. I'm gonna get this blinding white screen out of here. What the heck? All right. Anyway, back to my Bob Ross stream. I'm kidding. Yeah, what are your thoughts on overloading though? Because I don't really have an opinion on it. Okay, so this should be a good enough sprite. I could see that rotating. But one thing I do want to do is, while I'm here, make this black. Let's reduce the size of this to like 2. And then I want to color in this, because it seems kind of choppy. I said I wasn't going to clean it up, but I did anyway. There we go. Some people criticize that it is a little ambiguous and opens up the possibility of your plus symbol allocating memory on the heap. I guess potentially. So, but if you're working in like a language that supports static types, I think that's less of an option. So, like, so for example, for Godot, for GD script, it's not really a statically typed language, but you can specify types. So I try to do that because of the language I work in most at work is Go, which is a statically typed language. It's very opinionated. So it won't even like compile or run if you try to add, like, say, for example, an integer to a float or something. So since I'm relying on type safety as much as I can, I think that removes that ambiguous. Go Chads, keep winning. Hey, yeah, I love Go. It's so simple. But I also love GD script because it's more Python-like, and I haven't really worked much in Python, but after working in Godot, I love not having to put brackets around everything. But you know, Godot does support types, so that's why every time I declare a variable, as often as I can, I'm always declaring what type it is, because it also helps the editor determine what you're trying to do, so it can offer more helpful hints and insights, like for autocomplete functions. So, like if I'm trying to remember like what method I could use, I can just type dot whatever method name, and it will autocomplete it for me because it knows what type I'm working with. So for developer experience, that's pretty huge. And then after working in a database, a MongoDB database, that there was no semblance of schema or type safety at all. It was just vomiting whatever you want in the database, and then having to parse that data out later. I love type safety. I'm a big proponent of type safety because holy cow. It can get monotonous if you're like having to declare like different layers of like an app or whatnot, and you have to declare types. So for example, like if I'm working on like a Go monolith and I have like a data layer, and then there's like an API layer and stuff like that, there could be similar types that might be shared, but every layer has its own type. And anytime you're having to move from one layer to another, you're constantly having to make shim code to basically cast it as a different type. There is a downside there, but I don't know. That's just in my experience. I don't know what the hell I'm doing. I just fake it real good. So yeah, that's my thoughts on, was it overloading operators? If you're using a language that supports type safety, I think it's not ambiguous at all. That's my thoughts with my limited understanding of the scenario. But yeah. Okay, cool. So this one I think is ready to be exported. So file, we're going to export this. We're going to say radar dish, save, save. Cool. So I'll mess with Krita later, but for now, if we go back into Godot, I have a few upgrades here in my sprites list that I can play with now. So that's pretty cool. I do like that. So I'll work more on that off stream later, probably. I'm probably going to have to end stream here in about 15 minutes or so, because I do got to get some stuff done. But let's keep rocking. So I got some more upgrades. So now I need to make these scenes for the upgrades, or prefabs if you're coming from a different engine. I like the term prefab, like a prefabricated thing. Because scene, like, to me, is like, oh, it's like the scene. Like, I'm setting the scene. Like, it's like more background stuff. That's just how I think of it, but that's not the correct way of thinking about it, I guess. So class name upgrade. So why do I have, I see. I'm not sure why it's a class yet, but I made it a class. Okay. I'm on a good start. I think it's because I made everything else a class. Like as far as location, projectile, ship. I broke out, a ship was getting too big, so I broke out subcomponents like ship shield, ship thrusters, ship weapons. Then I have upgrade and I have weapon. Those are all classes so far. So what I can do is in my upgrades, so if I open up this one, Synthocracy turn speed. So it's just a, what type is this? It's actually type upgrade. So I'm using that class and I just have a sprite as a child of it and I'm setting it. Okay. All right. So there's a lot of to do here for the upgrades, but I think a lot of the upgrade logic is handled on my ship. I think I have an apply upgrades function, which takes all the modifiers, sets them to 0, and then it goes through all of our upgrades, and then it basically does a bunch of if statements to check, hey, is this an acceleration speed mod? If so, add the acceleration speed. Which is probably a better way of doing it, but it works so far in concept. So I don't know. I'm just going to keep cracking on with it and see if I can get something working. That'd be nice. I'm going to at least get another upgrade created. So let's duplicate this. Actually, I don't know. I'm just going to make a new one. So new scene. I'm going to pick a node. Let's do, what was it? Upgrade. So upgrade.gd. We're going to name this one. What is it named? See, so I named this one like Synthocracy turn speed, but I don't know if I want to name, like, have a bunch of, I mean, I guess I have to. Synthocracy. What was this one? What was I making? I don't know. I'm going to pick one. Let's see here. Let's go back to documents, neurality 3092. Where is it? There we go. And then, so I wanted to see my sprites. Hand drawn. There we go. Upgrades. So let's do deceleration speed. So that could be cool. So we'll name this one. I'm just gonna name it that for now. Actually, no, I need to name it. Yeah, we'll just do deck speed. That's what I'll name the scene. And then here, Synthocracy deck speed, I'm going to add a child node. I'm going to add a sprite. I'm going to go back to the scene. And then I'm going to add that sprite. Where is it? Deck speed. Boom. I'm going to add that. So now, I don't know if this is the right size it needs to be. So let's compare to the other one. So if you look here, this is this over here. 0 pixels, 50 pixels. So right about here is like 25 pixels. So it's like maybe like what? 12, maybe it's like 25 pixels wide. That's about what the size of this upgrade is. So I might make this one a similar size. So let's do the scale. Let's drop this down to like 0.5. And that gets us about the same. Cool. Even in a static language, I can just immediately think that if you wanted to add strings that would normally probably entail copying both into new memory. Not a likely example, but just the one I remember. This game is interesting to me. Yeah, thank you. So as far as like memory management, to be honest, that's another thing that Go has kind of spoiled me with, is that I don't really have to worry about, I mean, there is still some consideration to make towards like memory allocations, but the garbage collector is so damn efficient in Go, it just cleans it all up. But for the sake of performance, there are things you can do to reduce your allocations, which can increase performance. But see, it's been so long. I haven't even had to think about memory management in so damn long. It's so nice. Holy cow. Yeah, I don't know. Yeah, I love Go. Go is awesome. Oh, man. So that's a fun fact. I don't know what GD script or what Godot does for this stuff. I've never had to think about it. I know that the engine's written in like C++ and stuff. I don't know. All I know is when I run my game, it it's using like 90 megabytes of memory, which is pretty cool. So let's say I run this, right? I'm going to run this game. Let's go to load. And then let's go ahead and go to my combat test zone. So if I go over to my faction combat system and I boost out there. Yeah, I might have to reduce the, or increase the deceleration speed for that. Boom. Okay, so I'm in the combat test system. So ships will just keep spawning in, and factions will fight each other. So here we have a coalition arrowhead, which is going to be attacking this Synthocracy flagship. And if we move this like over here, and in my debugger, let's take a look at my monitors. Let's bring this up. Bam. Let's go back into the game. So I'm drifting off in the middle of nowhere. Let me get back into the fight here, because it's lit up. So you can see all the stats and stuff on the left panel there. So far, for memory, my static memory is 40 megabytes. My dynamic memory is 13. Processing time, see, there's some things I could probably do to reduce the processing time. So it seems like I am doing a bit of compute-heavy stuff. In fact, I know I am. How I'm handling, like, target acquisition and stuff for these ships is not good. So, yeah. So it looks like Synthocracy is off to an early lead. Coalition ships... Here we go. We got some fighters coming in. They're kind of attacking. Awesome. I'm going to attack this guy, too. What up, punk? You want a piece of me? Yeah, that's right. Come get it. Come get it. Yeah, I got your ass. I got your ass. Yeah, suck it. I'm in the crappiest. I'm in the fastest ship in the game, but yeah. I want C, but with a garbage collector, please. That was a request that didn't get answered for 37 years. Yeah, I don't know. I like Go. I use Go as much as I can for business applications. But I don't know. I don't get to program too much at work lately. It's mostly a lot of everything except programming. I wear many hats. But, oh my god. So yeah, so we're having a big old fight here. I'm still only at like 43 megabytes of memory, which really isn't too bad for all, considering all the stuff that's happening on the screen. There are just under 4,000 objects on the screen right now. Now, that is, I think, determining like each individual like node. Since Godot is a node-based system, it's kind of like Legos with code. It's like awesome. So it's so good. But every one of these like projectiles is probably like its own object, and I'm sure a ship is probably like 20 or 30 objects just by itself because of all the subnodes and our child nodes. Yeah. Hey Pavel, what's up? I wonder if there's Go bindings for Godot yet. I don't know. That would be interesting. See, there are some things I like to do in Go that I try to do in Godot, and I find I can't really do it. So like Godot does have the dictionary type, which is like a rough equivalent to Go's struct. But I think Go's structs are so much more powerful, and I like being able to define my own static types. You can kind of do that with like your own classes here, but I don't know. I like being able to make my own types, my own interfaces, my own methods. Like all that stuff is just nice. I guess it's the fundamental difference between composition versus inheritance. And I think that I don't remember if Godot is considered an object-oriented or not. Wouldn't Godot's equivalent to structs just be classes? Maybe. I guess. Yeah, probably. I feel like classes are much more heavy, though. I don't know why. It just... In Go, it just seems like, oh, I create a struct, and then I can make a method off of this struct or whatnot. Or I can... I don't know. It's just super easy, whereas having to make a class... I don't know. Maybe I'm just... I do have a problem reconciling differences between my professional life and then, like, my hobby game dev life. Because my hobby game dev life, I was self-taught. And then I've been applying some stuff I learned to my... I don't know. It just... Those two worlds don't often mix, is what I'm trying to say. So here we go. We got lots of ships on the screen now. You can see my mini-map is going absolutely nuts. And our process time is going up. So there are a lot of things I can do, especially with how I'm handling target acquisition and stuff. I can definitely change that. So yeah. Oh, these ships are disabled. You're going down. You're going down. Get wrecked, idiot. Nerd. Okay. That ship's doing good. That ship's getting wrecked. Coalition of free worlds. You're about the coalition of losers. Okay, I'm gonna get in. I'm gonna get in on this action. Come on, get him. Yeah, light his ass up. So yeah, I don't know. I'm just goofy. Godot is the most object-oriented that ever oriented around its objects. I love it. I strongly prefer structs too. Yeah. Classes have all the baggage of inheritance and methods and default values. That is true. Yeah, I guess, yeah. I'm just thinking, yeah. Godot is obviously like a crazy inheritance. Because if you look through the documentation, it's like, oh, like every time you look up like a button, oh, it inherits from base button, which inherits from control, which inherits from canvas layer, right? So, yeah, it's all good though. Either way, I enjoy both. I enjoy Godot, and I enjoy Go. And I've just been having fun in Go, or both, Godot, because it seems like that's the only programming I get to do lately. Holy cow. Oh, it's because the sun's right there. It's like, why is everything so bright and glowy? It's because the sun's right there. So yeah, man. Looks like Synthocracy is dominating this space. Look at all these warships they have. They have several heavy frigates. They got a bunch of frigates. They got a few carriers. They got a few flagships. Their fighters are just out there just pew, 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 pew. Man, these guys are rocking. I didn't know Go let structs have methods, though. I thought it worked more with pure functions. So maybe it's like interfaces I'm thinking of then. I don't know. I'm super rusty because I don't get to program much at work anymore because I'm too busy doing everything else: IT, systems administration, network administration, help desk, freaking virtual environments, everything but programming, which is the frustrating part. I get to support a lot of old-ass legacy access programs, which I hate. I can't wait to rewrite those bad boys into something that's not like a security nightmare. Whatever. Fucking Microsoft Access. I hate Microsoft. I hate Microsoft. I hate it. See, I started this job like a year and a half ago, and I didn't have any gray in my beard, and I didn't have this bald spot that's encroaching. I had a full head of hair. No problems, no worries in life. And now I'm just stressed because I'm dealing with Microsoft bullshit all day. I hate Microsoft. Oh my god. So yeah, these ships will just fight for eternity. So let's take a look at our memory. So I'm at 53 megabytes of static memory. I'm at like 13 megabytes of dynamic. No, 2 megabytes of dynamic. And then there are just under 7,000 objects on screen. Video memory is only 38 megabytes. The audio has some high latency, about 51 milliseconds of latency. And then the process time keeps climbing up and the FPS keeps dropping. So I think that is something I should work on definitely before the game is released, is optimizing my computing. I could definitely lean more on the memory side if needed. But wow, there are no... They defeated the coalition. You saw how all the ships stopped? There were just no coalition ships. And now there's one that spawned, and this guy's about to get lit up. It's like someone just stepped in a fucking ant, like an anthill, or someone just hit a beehive with a baseball bat. Wow, it just keeps... So for this testing system, what I did is I just said, hey, like randomize, like basically it's like flipping a coin, and then spawn a ship of this faction. And it just keeps flipping synthocracy as opposed to coalition. So every time there's some random poor coalition ship spawns, it just gets lit up like no one's business. Yeah, that ship is toast. Oh, I'm gonna get him. I'm gonna get him. I won't let him escape, guys. I won't. Oh no, I suck at moving. No, he escaped. Damn it. So yeah. So far the game runs pretty well, but there's definitely some things to keep an eye on for computing. So if I look at my ship, let's look at let's just bring up a ship here. So if I look at one of these ships, we have a bunch of nodes on here already. And then if we look at my ship class, it's bloated, and I've already debloated it by kind of moving some stuff out to subnodes. So if we look at how many lines of code this thing has, it's got like 1,400 lines of code. I need to abstract this out more because some of the AI logic is in here too. If I moved all the AI logic to like an AI controller node that can be put on NPC ships, that would move like 700 lines of code right there. So one thing that we're doing is in the AI code, I basically have a rough state machine thrown together. And another thing we're doing is like whenever we... Oh god, yeah, I just remembered. Whenever we are firing a projectile, we are copying an array of all the enemies that the ship has to this projectile. And then when the projectile hits something, it's checking to see if it is hitting an enemy. That's very expensive. Yeah. Now you're right. They let structures have methods, but they implement them differently. The taskbar tells me everything I need to know about what you think of Microsoft. Yeah. The biggest bottleneck I see for video games is specifically VRAM. I guess I'm doing pretty good on VRAM then. I was only using like 38 of it. 38 megs, which is not bad. So far, the biggest bottleneck for this game is processor. My FPS was running at 120, and then as the processing interval increased, the FPS went down. So I need to make sure I keep that processing interval as low as I can. And so, yeah, like when my ship weapons fires, like, so let's see, where's my fire? Fire weapons. Selected. So our weapons are firing. Now I need to go into an individual weapon. Oh my god. So what do I have here? So how am I determining? So I guess projectile. So where am I? So fire weapon. Taking in an enemy's array. So I'm copying this enemy's array, which is really bad. I need to find a better way to do it. See, in Go, you would just use a pointer and then say, hey, I'm going to pass in the pointer to this enemy's array of my ship. And I wouldn't have to copy it by value. I'd be copying just the reference. And I think the way I'm doing this right now, I think under the hood for data semantics, I think Godot is for basic values like floats, strings, and like integers and like booleans, like it will copy those by value. But I think for the more advanced like objects like dictionaries and arrays, I think it defaults to copying those by reference. I think. I don't know for sure though. I would have to look at it. But that's something to worry about later. For now, I do have to get going. But yeah, I made some progress on the game. I'm pretty happy with it, with how it's coming out. So I refactored menu items and how I handle them for location window. What else did I do? So where I left off is I left off so I did that already. I did that. So I left off creating more upgrades. That's where I left off. So I'm going to save that. Then what I'm going to do is I'm going to open up this in File Manager. I'm going to open in Terminal. Let's do a git status, git add, git status. So this is all the stuff I have staged, all the changes I made, git commit. Since I'm a solo developer, I'm just committing right to main because I'm a gangster. Let's see. So I did refactored a lot of my auto load dictionaries and worked more on ship yard customization. Git push origin main and pushed all that stuff. And so now my code is now on my GitHub. So in case my computer burns down, I have everything backed up on my GitHub. Cool. Oh, yeah, Godot and C# stuff confuses me a lot with whether or not any given thing is a value or a reference. Yeah, that was something I got drilled into me early on with like Go, is data semantics are very important. And I have a hard time kind of applying that to other stuff. I don't know why. It's a simple concept. I guess it's because I never dig that far into it. Anyway. So yeah, thanks everybody for stopping by. I appreciate it. I have to get going. I'm a little bit late, but that's fine. I had fun. I got some stuff done. Life is good. Appreciate you guys stopping by, and I'm sure I'll be probably streaming tomorrow too. I'm on a streak working on this game. I want to keep working on it. I'm like so close to adding new stuff. I can taste it. It's awesome. Once I get the upgrades figured out, I get the shipyard customization screen figured out, then you can start customizing your ships. You can add a bunch of weapons. You can place them where you want. You can add upgrades. Awesome. Then I can start working on the other cool stuff that's going to make this game awesome, which is like randomized events, the dialogue, the story. Yeah, I'll make more star systems that are for other factions so you can experience all that stuff. And then once I get like this vertical slice kind of working of all the core systems of the game, then somebody asked if I was going to make a wish listable game on Steam. I'll probably do that then. once I have a vertical slice made. And then I can start adding all the features, all the planets, all the locations, all the star systems, all the weapons, all the ships, all the factions, all the quests, all the events, everything. Whew, pumped. I'm excited. And then, I guess before I can start going like full bore on adding all the content, I should optimize stuff. So for example, actually I have a section down here. Optimization, list of things to tackle if optimizing things becomes necessary. Beam weapons. We're copying a potentially large array every frame. You maybe use signals only to add remove changes in enemies list, or maybe I can copy it by reference if that's possible. And then collision shapes and light occluders are programmatically generated and can have, no, this is actually not true anymore. I got rid of that. So they're no longer automatically generated. I generate them manually. So yeah, beam weapons, and then write this down as well. What was it? Projectiles. Yeah, I'll just do like enemy array copying. Was already covered as part of beam, but it applies to projectiles as well. There you go, save, and then just for funsies, I'm gonna make sure I commit that too. Git status, git add, git status. Yep, it's staged, git commit. Last minute comments for the evening. Git push origin main. There we go. So that's up on GitHub. Cool. Anyway, again, thank you so much for stopping by, everybody. I appreciate it. I will see you in whatever video or stream I do next, whenever I do it. But yeah, it's been fun hanging out. It's actually been really nice to just kind of rubber ducky stuff. Even though most of the time it feels like I'm talking to myself, it's still extremely helpful. So thank you everybody for watching and being here. It's awesome. I appreciate it. And I will catch y'all later. Peace.